Hi there, my name's Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. As you can see, I'm still here live from the NAMM show 2022. Great to see you all. Great to see you all here today with me live. Okay, I'm not live. I'm at home. The NAMM show has been and gone. I didn't go this year, but we're going to talk all about it today. I have some special guests here with me. Please say hi to my friends. Here they are. We have Jim. How you doing, Jim?
I'm very well. How are you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing very well. I've decorated the apartment, as you can see. Put some of my artwork behind me.
It's lovely.
Yeah, and Dr. McFarland, are you there or are you frozen? Are you either sitting really still or you're frozen up? Which is it?
He does look angry, but he's frozen.
Doc, I'm kicking you out. You have to rejoin again. Here we go. See you later. Okay. Actually, he still looks frozen there, doesn't he? Anyway, Jim, let's talk about the NAMM show. You know, I always go there. I always love going there. And then this year I had to make a decision. I was like, I usually go in January for the show. This year it was in June, obviously. And I decided not to go because I thought it will be expensive to fly there. There's going to be a lot of weddings and parties happening. And I chose not to go. But I have to admit, this week I was really sad that I didn't go. So how do you feel about it? Do you normally go to the show, and do you wish that you'd gone this time?
I've been to it 4 times, but I don't know. I didn't really miss it this year for one reason or another. And I think part of it has to do with just the traveling and the stuff like that, and how things have just been a little bit on the crazier side. And we're trying to plan a big family vacation, and any other time, you know, we would have done multiple things, but now it's like you got to really pick and choose. And this would have been all for me versus, you know, doing something with the kiddo and the wife more involved with it. They wouldn't have been very happy at NAMM. But I mean, you always miss out a little bit. You wish you could go to everything, but such is life.
Of course. Doc, can you hear us?
I can. Somehow I got disconnected somehow, but I'm back and better than ever. So.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. Have you ever been to the Anaheim, the big NAMM show?
I have never been to California for anything. So it would have been nice to go. The company I work for, Harrison Consoles, did not have a booth there this year. So the main head boss and some Icon guys from Icon Pro Audio, they all went together just kind of rub elbows and kind of see what it was about. But as far as setting up a booth, this year was not in the cards, but maybe next year they said we'll have an actual booth with Icon Pro Audio, and I will be there doing all the fun stuff. So keep your fingers crossed.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So just to update everybody, so the big NAMM show is normally in January. The smaller one is Nashville in the summer. And then this year, they got rid of the Nashville show, sadly, but they replaced it with the Anaheim one in June. The plan for next year is to bring that one to about April. Yeah. And then the plan the year after that is to bring it back to January. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And, you know, I also want to say, like, I saw a lot of YouTube videos saying things like NAMM is dead, NAMM is over. You know, I see what you guys think. I don't agree with that. I think it's great they did the show. Obviously, there's so many things against them right now because there's usually a whole basement there full of a lot of the Chinese companies, a lot of the smaller guitar builders. I think that whole basement floor, which is usually one of my favorite floors, was actually not there this year. And then most of the main halls were there, and it looked like there was quite a lot of people there as well. And the people I've spoken to said it was a really good kind of social, you know, people did a lot of business and catching up with friends I haven't seen for years. And for me, that's why I always love going there, not just for the gear, but also to see people and network and meet people in person. And I think that's why we need events like that. But I've also spoken to companies that told me it's very expensive to have booths there as well and have hotels and displays and all the rest of it. So there's just a lot. I don't know. But, you know, Jim, it reminds me of when they said there's a tube shortage and everyone said tube amps are dead. You know, I think everyone just jumps on that dramatic bandwagon. What do you think? Do you think these trade shows are... we have no idea, do we? But what's your thought right now on these things? You think they're gonna keep going or change?
I don't think they're dead. I think it is way too early to say that. I think the biggest part of something like this is that human interaction. And I think it's so good that they did this year and got back to it to show some sort of normalcy and bring a bunch of people that hadn't seen each other back together. It's a great way for companies to really find other companies that they can collaborate with as well. That's another thing that happens at NAMM that wouldn't normally happen, because you don't know who you might get along with like extra more so than you would just via online or talking or stuff like that. So a lot of good relationships are built out. Companies work together and stuff like that. And then as the consumer, you get a lot of hands-on free experience with a lot of these things that you wouldn't normally have available to you in a local guitar store most of the time. When people say it's dead, part of the reason I can see somewhat, and I only say somewhat because I think it will pertain to the major brands like Fender, Gibson, and Paul Reed Smith. I don't think they need to go as a company anymore. Does that mean the show itself is going to die? No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But you look at how well they've done, just basically like Paul Reed Smith, when they released things on YouTube, that was gigantic. Just their own thing. Forget all the people that got sent, like the Silver Skies or anything like that. It's so successful for them, and it just costs so much less money. And one point that you hit on, it's a lot out of pocket. You want to bring your whole team with you. You have to pay for all the flights. You're paying for the lodging. You're paying for the food, and you're paying for the booth. So I can see where some companies might say, all right, this is getting a little bit too much. It's not worth it. But I don't think it's dying anytime soon.
I think Fender is so big now, they're almost beyond it. Like there's that, even when they go there, they have their own location away from everybody else, right? And the other thing is, I've been looking on Sweetwater the last few weeks, and things like there's no PRS guitars available. There's nothing in stock. There's not that many Fenders in stock. There's not many Martins in stock. I mean, Martin will always go because Chris Martin was on the board of NAMM, right? He has a personal connection. But so many of these companies are still back ordered for gear. Like, Quad Cortex, they weren't there. You still can't just go online and buy one. So there's that problem as well. Like, why would you go there if you've got nothing to show as well? So it makes sense. Let's jump in. What I've done today is I've chosen the products that jumped out to me. And if I've missed anything, feel free to let me know later on. But I want to show you the ones that jumped out to me personally and see what you think of those. And we'll take it from there. Before we do that, let's just say hi to everyone in the chat. Rosanna's here. How you doing, Rosanna? She's moderating today, keeping the trolls at bay. Thanks for doing that. David is here. Good to see you, buddy. Patsy Smith says hi to everybody. Jim says hi from the Green Mountain State. Summer is finally here. Good to hear. Mark is here. Good to see you, Mark. Lee is here as well, also moderating. Thank you for doing that, Lee. Patsy Smith says hi to Dr. McFarland. Just to clarify once again, because you've been on the show a few times, Doctor, are you a real doctor of medicine?
No, I'm not. I do get surgical with audio. So I do make house calls if you need audio assistance. So there you go.
That's good to know. T says good evening, everybody. The one and only Poo Ninja says give us some thumbs up. Yes, please do. Poo Ninjas everywhere. Winter NAMM in the summertime. Exactly. The basement stuff was on the main floor. It was okay. So they closed the basement and moved it up and put everything together. And there were still a few empty spaces, but I think they did well considering there was also companies I know of that didn't have a booth, but they had a private room. So, for example, Fishman were there, but they had just a private room just to have meetings in, which they were still there. Jim says I worked out of Long Beach, California, from the 70s to the 90s. Very cool. In the 70s, it was very sketchy. Wasn't everywhere sketchy in the 70s, Jim? Tiki bars. Sounds fun. 80s, the renovation started. 90s had turned around to a place to go to. That sounds like everywhere these days. And Pooh said you have to pay for the load-in per pound and the booth space. Oh, yeah, there's many, many expenses. It's really, really expensive. You can't just go there on a whim just for the sake of it. It's got to be a reason to go, I'm sure. Paul, good to see you in Montana. All right, so I'm going to show you the first product. Now, these first products, I'm doing it in kind of order. These were announced the week before NAMM, but I still class them as NAMM releases because they're released around that time, right? So here's the first one. And this is actually probably my most anticipated, but it's not a guitar or necessarily a musical instrument. Check this out. You know who Rode are, right? Rode make microphones. Yeah. And when we started the lockdown, a lot of people were buying the Rodecaster Pro. And I looked at it, but it didn't interest me because you couldn't plug an instrument into it. He's a Rode fan. Very cool. So what they've done is they've realized in the lockdown we all started doing this YouTube thing, and that's exactly what we're doing right now, right? We're all using interfaces and microphones right now, and that's why this appeals to me. They've said, let's take the product we had and make it even more applicable to musicians and everybody else. So I won't go into the full details, but they've given it 4 inputs. You can plug guitars in, mics in. It's got noise gates, voice effects. Those pads you can see, the square pads, can be triggers for sound effects or lights or the voice changer or to change scenes. So it's completely customizable. And I'm surprised I didn't see more products like this at NAMM, because I'm sure they will sell 1 million of these things, because people that are live streaming want stuff like this now, because we are all doing the videos and live streams. Now, when we did the lockdown, I went out and bought a very expensive Apollo Twin. And I know, Jim, you've had the Apollo stuff before, right?
Yep.
It's really great, and it's got the noise gate in there and everything. But the Rodecaster for me looks even better, because you've got the physical sliders, different headphone inputs. You can route the audio. It's got a touch screen. It's got all the plugins built in, where I had to go out and buy the plugins for my Apollo Twin. That ended up costing me a lot more than $6.99. So even though I don't really need this, I'm going to get one, and I think it will enhance my streaming. And I think anyone that wants to start making videos or streaming now, this will really benefit them and save them some money and give them a lot of access to a lot of cool features for their live streams and their videos. So I'm actually really excited for this product. And they weren't even there, but this was announced the week before NAMM, so I class it as that. I think it's out next week, so I'll be getting one. And if it works out, I'll make a review of it. But what do you think? You both do streams and videos. So are you interested in this product? Or are you happy with what you have now? And let's start with the doctor.
Well, pretty much any interface that has a loopback option is perfectly fine for streaming. So right now in my possession, I have an RME UFX that has awesome total mix software. You can do loopback on pretty much any channel. I have an Arturia 8 pre unit that has a loopback option, and I also just got the new Evo 8 from Audient. Because I saw the Evo 16 was out, but they're still quite not shipping yet. I did have that on order, but I canceled the order because I have so much other stuff. I don't need the Evo 16, but I am keeping the 8 because it's small. It has a 4 mic pre-inputs, and it can be bus powered, so it doesn't need an external power supply. And I can pretty much stream up to 4 microphones from anywhere for only $200. So I thought that was pretty good. But the only thing with Mac is you still have to use some kind of Rodecaster kind of software for your OBS or Streamlabs, or maybe Ecamm didn't need this, but it still has to be able to recognize that loopback channel within the streaming software. So, but really, I mean, for $6.99, I do like the faders. I like all the buttons and pads, so you can trigger different sounds. And if you can use it as just a regular audio interface, I think it's great.
Jim, what do you think? Does it interest you?
I like Rode stuff. I have these wireless Go's that I use. I even got the microphone thing so I can start interviewing people in person. Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know why a company like Tascam, for example, didn't jump all over something like this way sooner. I love that Rode did. There's a company called Elgato. They make the cam links and stuff like that. They have a Stream Dock, which is similar, but it's never going to give you everything that this has included with it as far as the inputs and the routing options that are available to it. I think it's a genius move. I think the price is really competitive. What is the Focusrite 18i20 right now? Like $500 new? $550, something like that? Just roughly, right? Yeah, you think about that. Yeah, you get more preamps available to you and more expandability to it. But if you're somebody that is going to be doing something like this and you're going to be streaming and you want easy control over all of it, because it's one thing to be like, oh, I can work in the box and do it as I'm going. that is fine on paper, but when you're actually live and people are watching you, it is much more convenient to have, I can just hit this button, or I can turn this fader up, turn this fader down, and not have to dig through, and it makes for an awkward kind of pause while you're streaming. So I think it fills a lot of needs. It's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't cover all the features either. It's got everything you can think of in there. And I won't sell my Apollo because it's got the plugins that are really great for recording and the great guitar emulation amp things and all that. But if I was shopping now, I would just get the Rode, I think, because it will work as an interface and it's got 4 inputs. My Apollo was like $1,500 and it only has really 2 inputs. That's not enough when you want to do acoustic guitar streaming with 3 mics. You don't have 3 mics. So this thing is awesome. And it's also, most importantly, got the voice changer. So you can do those voice changer effects live.
That's the most important feature of all I know.
No, but it's got the touch screen. It's got the noise gate, the compression. It's also got the big bottom, the Aphex Exciter tool. I used to have that when I was a teenager. Those Aphex Exciter DIs. It's got that built in as well to make the voice sound fuller and richer. So I think anyone that's starting now, you get an M1 Mac and this Rodecaster Pro II, and you're just going to be flying out the door. And like you said, why are more companies at NAMM? Why didn't we see more gear like this? Like now we're all streaming, right? I'm sure that's really a huge thing now. So
yeah, and there's a few brands that hang their hat on that part of the market. Presonus, like I said, Zoom, or Tascam, Zoom, Samson. A lot of these brands, I don't know why they weren't also thinking of the same thing. I think it's great that Rode did, and Rode is known kind of maybe a step above to some people of the companies that I just mentioned for the most part, reputation-wise. But so, I mean, they've beaten them to the table. They brought a lot to this product. The other competition is going to have to come in a lot cheaper if they want to compete with something like that.
I have the Stream Deck, and I won't be getting rid of that because it has graphics on each button. They haven't gone that far. You still got to remember what each of those pads does. But with the Stream Deck and that Rode, I mean, you're just going to be, it's just going to be an amazing experience, I think.
Yeah, Aaron, that's exactly why they came out with this pod mic. Yeah, this is a SM7B, large diaphragm dynamic microphone. It's only $100. It's $99.
Yeah.
Unless the price has gone up since the last time I checked. I mean, this is a cheap mic. It sounds great. You plug 4 of these into your mic inputs on that the Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah.
You got a sweet sounding setup. They can pretty much go anywhere for cheap.
Yeah. So, and yeah, you're right. The price is great for what you get. Okay, so I just want to say, like, I'm gushing over this. I haven't tried one yet. Of course, you can always get a piece of gear and there's some weird thing about it you don't like. But based on what we're seeing here, I think this is an awesome product. I think this is one of my favorite things, even though it's not a guitar. So I would I've already pre-ordered one. So does this get a thumbs up from you guys?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Aha, I know Jim wants to talk about these. And yes, it's another way to amplify an electric guitar because we need 5,273 ways to amplify an electric guitar because a tube amp just won't do anymore. All right, I'll stop being facetious. I love Universal Audio, so I've got the Apollo. I love it. I've tried their effects pedals. I think they sound great and they're very easy to use. They don't have all the features, but some of us like that, being restricted, not having the apps and things. It has an app, but not for like detailed editing like a Helix or something. But now they've put their amp sims into pedals. So I'll start with Jim because I know we've already spoke about these. Have you tried one yet?
It was supposed to be here today.
Ah.
It got caught up in Germany and it will be here tomorrow, supposedly. But I've talked to a few people that had one at launch that are, bigger channels that were afforded the ability to have it prior to, that have had some experience with it. What I like about these, if you have any amp that has an effects loop, you get that sound totally like unique to itself, independent of whatever your other amp sounds like. So even if you bought one of those mini aggressive, like a Friedman or the new Soldano mini head, something like that, they're very, very distorted kind of amps. You run this through the effects loop, it bypasses all that. It really adds a lot of character to it. So on first glance, a lot of people will think, oh, this is just perfect for DIing into, your interface or anything like that if you want to do any tracking. And it can do that. And also for YouTube, it's really good too, because then you can do it at any hour of the night that you want to do a demo. But in a live scenario too, I see a lot of flexibility with it. And another thing that I think Universal Audio almost got perfect, is the fact that you can change a lot of the routing from your phone. The only reason I say almost is because if this had a dedicated XLR output on the side of it that could run straight to the PA, so you could run it in 4 cable method, it genuinely would have been like a perfect product. But I'm really excited about it. I think they're definitely something to shoot for.
Doc, you love your modelers. Are you in? I mean, you've got the head rush and all the all-in-ones. Are you interested in something like this? It just does one thing supposedly really well, or are you more of a multi-effects type, multi-modeler type guy?
I'm not against these pedals. I do currently have a Quilter Interblock 45, which I know is an older product of theirs. And it does have a line out that doesn't have an IR loader, but you can put an IR loader after it. So I'm not against these things. I don't play out live. And I really just do studio stuff. So the more I use a Helix or a head rush type unit or a Kemper or whatever else, as long as I get a good recorded tone, that's really all I care about. So something like this is great, and I think it's cool for guys that want that option. For me personally, I probably would never buy it, just because it's like another $400 that doesn't go towards kids' clothes or something.
I mean, you can't bring that into the equation. Come on.
hey. Just ask my wife if I should buy any more gear. She'll tell you. It's like
the answer is no.
All this gear?
The answer is no to everything. So that's not a valid point.
I know. Don't ask my wife about any kind of music gear purchase. But I think if I didn't have anything at all, and I wanted. I'm not a big AC30 fan. I'm more of like a deluxe reverb.
They have that
guy.
too. There's three.
So I'll probably go with the other pedal, and that's kind of why I bought this Supro. I bought a few months ago. It just has a great clean tone. You can flip a switch to turn on a boost and a drive type sound, but I got pedals for that. So as long as I have a good clean sound, I can just run pedals through it. And it's great. So something small like this at the end of your pedal board, it's kind of like the Strymon Iridium or anything of that nature. I mean, I think they all do about the same kind of thing. So this is just another offering from another company for $400. Because I think the Strymon Iridium is like $4 or $5, something like that. I can't remember.
They're the same price.
But you get 3 amps. But you get 3 amps, don't you? In that, so you could argue it's better value.
Yeah, I can see that. But I like the look of this thing. It looks like a dream, as the name says.
Let me just adjust my level here. 1, 2. I'm clipping Realting. I don't think so. I think the dock is, so I'm going to turn him down a bit.
Maybe.
So, I am a huge fan of Universal Audio. I have the Aux box, which I think is incredible, and I have their interface, the Apollo, which I think is incredible. So when they announced these, I did order this one, and I got it. I've had it for a week, and I've only used it once, and I'm going to return it. And I don't like reviewing gear that I'm going to return, because I don't really agree with that whole thing. But the thing with me is I should have learned my lesson, because of course all the initial comments were it's amazing, and I thought, well, it probably will be because it's Apollo.
Yep.
But I only I played it for about half an hour, but I just felt like it's just another good amp sim. I'm interested to see what Jim says about it. The problem with me is now all I ever do is plug straight into my amp, and for me the amp sims are always going to be, they'll never match that feeling. And the only reason I even went for this was because it's Apollo Universal Audio. And
yeah, I don't think I would have gone for it if I was going to be using it that way. I think the big appeal to it is somebody mentioned in the chat the fly rig, and then the second thing, if something else in your rig goes, like an amp or a quad Cortex at a show, you have a contingency plan so you could finish the gig and not have to worry about it.
But I plugged in the quad Cortex after playing this, and I'm a big fan of that thing. And to me, it just sounded as good. And I'm like, I don't need a pedal that's $400 if I've got a quad cortex and if I play an amp most of the time. And that's why it's not going to work for me. I mean, it sounds very good, but it still sounds like an emulation to me, you know, and they always will. Right? They always say, oh, it's even better, it's even closer, it's even closer. But of course, what I like is the sound of the actual cab in the room, the real amp in the room. And I do love the aux. I mean, that aux is really expensive, but for me, it sounds incredible with a real amp. It's just, to me, it's just amazing. So to me, that's totally worth it. But if I keep this, I'm just not going to use it. And I have a backup in my guitar case. It's a fly rig, which I really don't want to ever have to use, but it lives in my guitar bag, and it's got 2 channels, reverb, delay, and a boost and a tuner. So for me, that's the ultimate backup, and hopefully I never have to use it. So not for me, but I'm looking forward to your review, Jim, when you get it.
That's cool.
All right.
I don't know why you bought it to begin with. You had the quad cortex.
Because I like gear. Why am I even here right now? Yeah, I tell you what, I just want to say that the quad cortex has really impressed me. And they also, I thought they might have a software update around NAMM, and they announced on their, the Discord, that they have put the next version into beta. So that should be out within the next kind of 4 weeks. So they've got a lot of work to do on their product, but they are pushing forward and releasing updates. And I think their updates are really strong. So yeah, that's good. I like that product. All right, next one. The Plethora X5 was already out. They released an X3, which is just a smaller version, because this version will fit on a pedal board better. And I really like the TC effects, and I like they've done something a bit different with this pedal. Have you guys ever tried this one, the Plethora?
I've tried the big one. No.
Oh, you have? What did you think then, Jim, of the big one?
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was outstanding. I liked the Helix sounds better. I like the HX stomp effects that came with it better, and it does more with it. So to me, I think it was smart of them to make the footprint even smaller and thus the price even smaller, because if you look at the full price of the X5, that was very close to AHX Stomp territory, and that's a hard sell at that point for just the effects unit when you get everything else included with the HX Stomp. So I think that this is a smart move from TC. It will get a few more people to maybe dip their feet in if they want just straight up digital effects and they're happy with everything else in their rig.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just like the TC stuff. I always have, and the mash buttons are cool too. They're like little mini expression pedals. They got some features in there that they don't have in things like the HX Stomp. But you're right. Every time something comes out now, it's like, why wouldn't you just buy an HX Stomp? Because that thing is such a great versatile product. You know, I think it's probably the best product that Line 6 make. To have that sort of power in that little tiny pedal is amazing. But I like the TC stuff, and I like to support them. I wish TC Helicon would come back and make more vocal processors, but at least TC Electronic are still making products, which is a good thing.
Indeed.
So you haven't tried that, Doc? You haven't tried the Plethora?
No, unfortunately. I did have a Hall of Fame 2 reverb pedal with the stomp, feature. And I mean, the switches are great. I think the product looks fine. If that's something that you need, if you have a board full of drive pedals, you just want one thing at the end of your chain that gives you some reverb, some delay, maybe some chorus if you need it, some tremolo if you need it. I mean, $349. I mean, a single pedal is going to cost you at least $150 anyway.
Yeah.
So might as well get one thing that you can just throw it all in there and just kind of, set up some presets to where you get, one bank gives you a delay, reverb, chorus, another bank gives you some phaser and some compression and some whatever, That's really what these pedals are good for.
I like it. I think if you're a TC fan, that's a great way to go. If you've got a pedal board and you're a TC fan, that's a great addition to make to it. And you've got MIDI on the back there and everything too. So I like
this is a total throwback, but I really like the G system from TC Electronic.
Yeah.
It was like it's like 2000, was it 2008, 2009, maybe somewhere in that era. The only issue I had with it was it didn't have drive sounds built in.
Right, this doesn't either.
So if they came out with a G System 2.0 that had all that stuff, all the wet effects, all the modulation, and drive pedals in it, kind of like a Helix competitor, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't. And then put the stuff from TC Helicon in there as well. Make like one super kind of like pedal. David said, does this have the amp sim? You know, the X5 doesn't have an amp sim. I think it has cab sims. And this has the cab sims as well. So you can, I'm not quite sure what would you do? You'd run like a drive pedal in and run the cab sim to PA. I mean, you really want an amp sim in there as well, don't you? But
or you put one of the universal audio pedals in front of it and then run the cab sim. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the Interblock 45 I mentioned earlier from Quilter, it has a great line out, but does have a cab sim on it, but I don't really like the sound of it, so I would just turn that off, then run this pedal after that, amp, and that would be my reverb, delay, cab sim type stuff. But then again, just buy an HX Stomp and be done with it. So
let's move on. This was the biggest thing for me. But I'm a little bit disappointed. Not disappointed, it's not the right word, but it's not quite as far along as I was hoping it was going to be. It's the Blue Guitar. And I really want Jim, because Jim, I've tried so many amp alternatives. For me, the Amp 1 gets the closest of all this stuff. I'd like you to try one day. But the Ambex takes it another level, because the problem I've had with the Amp 1 is that some of the controls are shared, and I can't dial 3 sounds in exactly how I want them, and I still need effects. But what he's done here, as you can see on the screen, is he's given you everything. You can make presets, different amp sounds, tweak everything exactly how you want it. He's giving you effects as well, but it's still using that kind of analog approach. It's not like a Helix, right? So you still get that feel that I think all of us here like. But if you watch the demos, there's not that much playing. It's pretty clear that it's still a lot of work to go. I'm expecting this won't ship until like the middle of next year. So I don't know. I'm really interested in this product, but it's got a long way to go, I think. So the Doc has one of these. I have an Amp 1. You've never played an Amp 1, right, Jim?
No.
Yeah, I really think you should. I think of all the products out there, because I know you like amps, I think you would like the feel of the Amp 1 a lot. But I think I wouldn't recommend that to most people, because I think this Ambex is going to be a great all-in-one product. It's just such a huge, ambitious project, isn't it? For a company of their size to take on a project like this is massive. And I really, I'm wishing them all the best, but it is a big thing. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be available to buy this week, but it seems from the videos that it's going to be like another 6 to 12 months. At the same time, I'd rather he took his time and got it just right, because a lot of people still complain about the Quad Cortex, including David, who's in the chat there. He won't mind me saying that. They feel they rushed it out the door, and they did promise things it would do that it didn't do at launch, which was a huge mistake, and they'll probably never do that ever again, I'm sure. And then now they're kind of playing catch up. But with the Ambex, it's still very much like the hardware is still very much like a prototype. I mean, having said that, if he gets it right and this thing ships next year, and I'm still, looking for like an all-in-one for a wedding band, I think this is the way I would go personally, because I love the feel of the Amp 1, and I love the fact that it's an all-in-one, very small. You can plug it straight into a cab. So I am excited for it. I just think a lot of people got carried away with how far along it was going to be, and I'm trying to be more cautious these days of getting excited over gear that's not finished. Because as we know, you can get very excited for a piece of gear, you can get it, and then you can find even just one thing that's a showstopper, and then it's a huge disappointment. So I'm trying to, just trying to be patient and wait for the final thing. Doc, did you see the coverage? And I mean, there were some sound samples, but there wasn't that much.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of played a little bit on last Wednesday's live stream. But it wasn't tons. It was like, here's a clean sound, here's an overdrive sound with some shredding and some delay and reverb type stuff. But everything he says it can do, I'm totally believe it will do. And he makes it sound like it should be ready by the end of the year and possibly ship out in January. Possibly. We'll see what happens. But just because it's Thomas Blug, I would buy anything that man releases. Because honestly, he's just a genius, and he knows what he's doing. He's a great player, which is why I like him for that. Because he's not just a gearhead. he's a world-renowned Strat player, and my goodness, he can shred like nobody else. And he just happens to have the brain to come up with all this stuff that he's going to use personally. And he said once it's ready for him to play live, he's going to release it to the world, and everyone else is going to be able to buy it as well. But it's got to meet his standards. So I'm glad he is taking it slow, and that he's able to get it just how he wants it. And then once he does, the world better watch out, because it's going to be a pretty cool product.
It's great that he is a musician himself and makes the product. I agree. A lot of people that work at these companies don't even play guitar, which is probably a good thing, because they would just sit around and never release anything, because guitarists probably, you know what I'm saying. But it's great that he is a guitarist and he has access to great guitarists who can give him feedback, and he can really develop this thing. I don't know. Because I play the Amp 1 and this fixes the holes that I want from that product, I want to at least try one. It's going to be about $2,000. Then again, if it feels like a real amp and it has all the effects, I think that price is okay. Let's ask Jim. So Jim, you haven't played the Amp 1. So what's your kind of feeling about $2,000 for this sort of Amp 1 with multiple amps and effects? Is this something that you'd be interested in? I
had one concern, and you kind of started to hit on it, and it had nothing to do with this product, but everything to do with how poorly Neural DSP launched and marketed theirs before it ever hit the ground running. And I actually did love a lot of the sounds when I had Quad Cortex. I thought it was great. But I think when you're promising things, I like the approach that this guy is taking in comparison, because there's no like, oh, it's going to be available right now. There's no definitive release date as of yet, correct?
No, they're saying end of the year, early next year. Yeah, there's no. It's still very much a prototype.
So long as he sticks to his guns here and will not release something that he himself will not use. When I hear people praise somebody the way that the doctor has just praised Thomas, and I've seen other people on forums say the same things, like I'll buy anything this guy buys. It's like you have to take that seriously. So if this guy actually holds out and releases something that's finished, I would rather wait 2 years for that, and I will have so much more interest in that long term, as opposed to being like, let's just get it out as fast as we can, get it into people's hands. If it's not finished to what we promised, whatever, we'll just patch it, we'll update it. I love the idea that it's all analog as far as the methodology of it, but it does have digital effects processor in it. I think it's a 16 core, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great. I don't think there's a whole ton to complain about. The only thing is it's $2,000, and to some people who are really, really strictly, I'm only going to use the tube amp. There's no way I'm going to use any sort of modeling. I don't care who makes it. That's going to be the tough sell. But for people who are kind of in the hybrid world, like you, especially Aaron, I think this might be perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect for me because it gives me that feel, but with the convenience. That's why I love it. But I think he has to hold off. Look how many moving parts there are on the product as well. The Quad Cortex was just a box with a touchscreen. They can fix it after the fact, mostly. This thing has a lot of actual physical knobs and screens, and even the way the hood goes up and down and the wings go on the side to hold other pedals. So I get it. Yeah. I get it. But, I don't know why I defend the Quad Cortex as much as I do. And full disclaimer, I don't use it that much. I always just plug a guitar straight into my Mesa Boogie. I love that. I love doing that. But whenever I do play it, I'm very happy with it. Whereas with the other modelers, I just end up wasting hours and years of my life trying to make a decent, clean sound. I love the Quad Cortex. I think it sounds really good. I think the biggest mistake was promising things it didn't do, because that is lying, let's face it. But now I just see a lot of people giving them a hard time all the time. But I'm like, I take it from a stance of, I spent so many years trying to get the other ones to sound decent, and that thing sounds decent. For me, that's good enough. So I know that's why I defend it. And I do see them doing cool things. Like the looper they added is one of the best loopers in a digital product that I've seen. And I can't imagine that the Amp X looper will be as good as that, because it doesn't have the screen to see all the loops going on and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I agree. It's good that he's willing to wait for it to be finished, because it will be worth waiting for, and it could be a timeless pedal, couldn't it? This thing, when it's actually done and does what it's supposed to do, could could be like one purchase from any guitarist the rest of their lives, which is
and if you look at what Thomas actually does, Thomas doesn't do a lot of looping.
Right.
So
it's not his bag.
Is he even going to add a looper into this?
Yeah, it's going to have a looper. It'll be like the Helix has like a one button, one track looper. The Quad Cortex has more of a kind of I see them doing more things with Quad Cortex, and it's got the mic input and stuff like that, which appeals to me as a singer. So but I am excited for this because the amp one is a cool feeling and sounding pedal. And the extra tweaks here will be a really cool thing. And but then again, by that point, will new guitarists just be playing the digital stuff? But by the time he releases this, I guess the danger could be that there could be a new Helix, a new Kemper with touchscreens and apps, and this starts to feel a bit, dare I say, antiquated to some people. Like, is this going to be a very niche product for people like me? I don't know. That's
What's really interesting about the Ambex is. It's not just analog; it's digitally controlled analog.
Yeah.
So to kind of answer your comment there from earlier, Jim, it's not just a digital product. Yes, it has digital, effects, but all the drives and amps are all analog.
Yeah.
And what's going to make it cool is all those little transistors and components in there. It can literally morph from the touch of a button to a Mesa Boogie sound, to a Fender Princeton sound, all in real time. There's no lag at all because there's no relays having to switch. It's all done analog, but it's digitally controlled. So it's going to be really exciting once he gets this all done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love this. I saw this 2 years ago when I went to NAMM, and he had like the very first. He called it a study, like the empty shell. Like, this is what it's going to be, and he's made some cool improvements since then. But this is on paper exactly what I want for my band gigs. But like I said, until I've actually played one, then I don't want to get too excited about it, But on paper, I think this thing is really cool, and I'm surprised more companies are not doing this. Now that brings me on to this guy right here. Ta-da!
Yeah.
So they're taking the same. This is basically, and I hate to say it, but this is basically an amp one. But a lot of people are getting very excited over this thing. But the problem I have with this is I don't think you can plug this straight into a speaker. This isn't an amplifier. This is a preamp. So
you can plug it in. You can't plug it directly into a speaker unless it's a FR speaker.
Right.
That'll take the XLR. But traditional, just passive speaker, no, it's not going to take it.
And for me, a lot of people, my friends, are excited over this. I think they think you can do that. If this had the power amp like the Amp One has, and if this had their IRs built in, because it's an analog emulation out, you still got to add like your IRs somehow to this thing. I would have been really interested to try it, but the fact that it's a preamp with an analog output makes it less appealing to me. Have you seen this, Doc? It's very Amp One-esque, isn't it? But it's not actually an amp. It's a preamp with a tube.
I've just really seen some pictures. I might have scrolled through some videos on YouTube. I stopped to actually watch any of them. Looks fine. Sure, why not?
Can I say it again? It's another way to amplify your electric guitar.
Just another way to amplify your guitar.
Because a tube amp just won't do. All right. Real Ting was saying that he knows a few pro touring musicians who sold Kempers and went to Quad Cortex. Rob Harris with Jamiroquai and Joe Webb with ELL. That's cool. Nate Williams, who plays second keys and second guitar for Jamiroquai, uses an HX Stomp. Cool.
There you go.
Hey, HX Stomp is such a great small all-round pedal. I have one, and I really like it. But I like the QC because it's got the mic input. It's all about the mic input and all that stuff.
Well, I will say this though. One thing that I think is exciting that Thomas could do with the Blue, that the new amp that you guys are talking about, the Ambex. Look at how long that the HX Stomp has been around and is still like that benchmark at that price point. If he really takes his time and nails this, who's to say that nobody ever considers something in that kind of price range for like $2,000 or so, like a Quad Cortex, if he absolutely nails it out of the ballpark? And I don't know, for me, that's the kind of the goal I would set, is to be like the HX Stomp of that price point. You know what I mean?
For me though, with the HX Stomp, I want it to be more powerful, because they've now got those new pitch effects, and once you load one, it's kind of done. And you can argue, well, they gave us those as a free update, so don't be so greedy. But if they could make, I mean, that's why I like the Quad Cortex. It's so small and it's so powerful, and all those ins and outs, including the XLR. That's why I like it, and that's why I'm such a fan of that thing. Now, this thing does not appeal to me because I still need an amp. I still need an IR loader. It's got shared EQ on the 2 channels, and I want independent EQ on the channels. And so a lot of my friends are raving about this. I just know, well, this might work for me. It might work. Let's say I bought it and the EQ happened to work out, and I plugged it into a power amp and it sounded great through that power. Yeah, there's a lot of ifs and buts there. So I don't think I'll be trying one of these. I mean, I'd like to try one, but I don't think I'll be buying one. Let's say that. But interesting price point, isn't it? Same thing again, $400 for your amp replacement. So okay, let's go on to the next one. Now this was kind of announced. I just thought I'd throw this in here. Another Pete Thorne signature, and the reason I threw this in, guys, is because there was a load of signature guitars announced at NAMM. Did you see that? Loads of like new colors and loads of new signature models. And so I wanted to ask. I don't really want to get into a discussion about Sir today, but you know that I'm not bothered by signature models because I like the Noel Gallagher guitars and the John Mayer guitars and all that stuff. What do you think of the signature thing, and why do you think so many were announced at NAMM? Why do you think they're all jumping on that bandwagon now?
Because they're selling, and they're selling for a lot of money. I think that it would be foolish of companies to not do more of those things. You think of the George Harrison. I mean, granted, Pete Thorne is not George Harrison as far as recognizable names to a common household person here. But when you keep having Niles Rodgers, Corey Wong, all of these people, Jerry Cantrell with Gibson, Noel Gallagher, these guitars are selling like almost immediately through different genres of music. And when you go to rebuy them, they're marked up by so much. But I like that Soar and some of these other brands aren't necessarily doing such limited runs of it. Like I saw the Pete Thorne is going to be just a full-on production model. I think that's awesome. His first model did really well as well. So, and they make a really, really high-quality product. So not much to complain about with that. And I could understand the signature stuff. It's popular right now, even all the way up to Fender Custom Shop. Joe Strummer one, I think it's like $12,000-$13,000. That's so anti what Joe Strummer stood for, but here we are.
And we got to throw Noel Gallagher in there because we know there's another Noel coming in, is it August? And we don't know for sure, but the things I've read online are saying $10,000. I'm like, Noel Gallagher's got a signature guitar that's going to be $10,000? Like, I thought he was a working class hero kind of guy, you know, but you're right. It's what people are paying now. I don't know why. I don't understand why the guitars are still selling out the way they have been. Last year, I was asking CEOs of the companies I had on the channel, like, why? I almost feel rude saying it. Why are all the guitars selling out? So, why is it? And now, 12 months later, they're still back ordered. Who is buying all of these guitars? Do you know, Doc? Is it you? Are you buying all the signature guitars?
Definitely not. I'm a Reverend guy, so I buy all the Reverend guitars I can. But how much is this Pete Thorne signature? Do you know?
$3,500.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's big money.
Yeah, it is big money.
It's big money.
Good point here. I think YouTube has been a big thing during lockdown. Most new NAMM signature models are for YouTube popular artists. Because like Rick Beato has a signature Gibson, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah. Now I think about it. Who else has a signature guitar out right now? There's a new one for Tom Quayle. He's got a new one. Yeah.
Ibanez.
Ibanez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
He's always kind of played Ibanez, though, hadn't he, Tom Quayle?
For a long time, yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense, but there's a ton I can't even think of right now. There was just so many signature guitars. There was some new Majesties in different colors, and all different signatures. The guy from Big Wreck has got a Sir as well now. There's just loads of them, but the only one I really care about is the Noel Gallagher.
Noel Gallagher.
Yeah, of course.
I want the Aaron Short signature model.
The Aaron Short signature model would be a Noel Gallagher neck with a John Mayer body.
That would be so strange.
I don't know. I'm not really into. People say I don't want someone else's name on my guitar, and I totally get that. For me, it's more about. I guess it's about the connection to the musician, if you're a fan, if they inspired you, and also about the specs. I mean, that Noel Gallagher, we haven't really spoke about it much, but there's a 355, Jim, or 335,
345.
345.
It's based on a 345, yeah, because it's got the stereo mono switch on it, so it can't be a 335.
So the fact of the matter is, for 10 grand, I expect some kind of markup for Noel to make his money, but for 10 grand, you can get like a top of the line Murphy Age custom shop, even 8 grand, save yourself a couple of grand, and arguably it may be a better guitar. Of course, that could be the other thing as well. With the Noel Gallagher, you're going to have to get the one that they send you, right? You can't go to Gibson and try a few out and take the one home you really love. You'll just get the one that they send you in the mail. And it's a bit kind of, for 10 grand, that's a big kind of big gamble, isn't it? So
It is.
I don't know. That's that'll be interesting to see how they sell. But the problem is, right, if they do all sell out overnight, you know what's going to happen next year, don't you? There's going to be a Noel Gallagher Les Paul for $15,000.
Stop. No, what they'll do before that is they'll reissue the Epiphone editions. That would be the smart thing to do. Then you have it be the most expensive in the Epiphone line.
Okay, let me put this to you. So if they release the Noel Gallagher Cherry Red semi-hollow, and let's say it's 10 grand, we're not sure yet. I saw it on some forums. So let's say it's 10 grand, and they also release the Epiphone version for $999. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't think one affects the other.
You don't?
Because you're talking about 1/10 of the price. The person who's even considering the $10,000 one is not even going to look twice at the $1,000 one. You know what I mean? It's just the price gap is so big that I don't think that would impact each other at all. Unless it was made in Japan, then they'd be in trouble. Because it would probably be a better quality control product if it was one of the made in Japan Epiphones compared to the made in China ones for $1,000. Then if you sign me up, I'd buy 5, like right now, and I'd be laughing my way to the bank.
Yeah, I'm just reading Real Thing's comment. He's having to dig at me, saying that some people buy a Martin for more than $3,500 that does one sound. Yeah, but it does one sound really well, Real Ting, and that's fine. It says at least they're pushing the boundary. Are they pushing the boundaries? Is that not just another Super Strat with the humbucker in the bridge?
No, that's not the guitar he's talking about. He's
Oh, what's he
talking
talking
about
about?
the Music Man one, the one that Tobin Lassie worked with.
Okay.
I know what he's talking about, just so you don't, because I saw you starting to get like, I was like, no, it's a different guitar. It's a different guitar.
Well, it's his fault. I know he's trying to wind me up with the comment about the Martin. He's talking about my authentic Martin, which we'll get onto next, by the way. And he said those markets don't compete, different buyers.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
agree.
So look, I recently made a video about the Martin Authentic. They released a new Authentic, and I have to just say something about this guitar. All right. So I got the aged one that was basically a recreation of the 1937 in the museum, right? And I got to get this off my chest because no one said it yet, and I'm going to be the one that says it because everyone knows I love Martin anyway. It's fine. I can say these things. What they've done is 2 things. First of all, they've changed the wood on the back from Madagascar to Guatemalan, and that's because the original had Brazilian that you can no longer get, right? So that makes sense, right? And I think the Madagascar's running out, and so they've had to change it on the Authentic from the Madagascar. And that's why I bought mine when I did, because I wanted to get one with Madagascar. So that's fine. The thing that's bugging me a little bit is that they've changed the body shape. they're saying that if you look here, right at the top, it's more square. And they're saying that the old original guitar's body shape was a bit more squared off there than it is on the one they had last year and the one and their current designs. But I know I just wanted to say this, like why wasn't the authentic to me implies it was a copy of the guitars. Why? I feel like a jerk saying it now, but why okay, let me say it. Why are this year's authentic more authentic than last year's authentics?
Gibson have ruined that word.
Really?
Whenever I hear the word authentic in the context of guitars themselves, I just cringe because I always think of that terrible Play Authentic and all the lawsuits that they've had going on. But I think you make a valid point. And if you're gonna make a recreation of something to the exact T, you better make it like to the exact T, unless there's something like the actual supplies are not available anymore to recreate it with the same wood tones or something like, or the woods to something like that. But I don't know. I don't like it when they kind of go like 90% of the way with reissues. I would rather just make a reissue all the way, and then have any modern stuff or hybrids is separately.
I'm being a bit I'm being very facetious here, but I just found it a bit like, hey, this one's even more authentic than the last authentic.
Than yours.
That's how I took it. Now my friend texted me because he's got one too, the older ones, and he's like, I think he thought I was regretting my purchase. No, I'm not, because mine has the different wood on the back and sides, and I wanted that wood. I would love to try this new version. I don't really see how that slight different body shape is going to change my opinion on my guitar. I just found it funny that it's like, hey, this one's even more authentic than the old authentics were. That's all. So
it's silly. Yeah.
I just wonder how far can you take it. But then again, I also appreciate that guitar companies have to make new models every year. They have to give new specs. So I know, like Fender, like they have a lot of, say, red guitars, and then 3 years later have a lot of blue guitars, and then 3 years later have a lot of red guitars. They have to keep mixing it up, or they won't sell new product. So I do understand that. I just found it kind of amusing on the authentics that, hey, this is more authentic than the old authentic was. So I just want to put that out there. But if you saw my review, they all just sound amazing because they've got those specs, the glued in saddles and the non-adjustable truss rod and the thick necks. They just have these rich tones, and I like them. I like them a lot. So all right, I'm glad I got that off my chest. And then
it's okay.
I've got one more. Okay, now let's talk about pricing on this one. Jim's face is like Aaron's lost his mind even more than ever.
Jesus.
A bit of history here. The SC13 was released 2 years ago at NAMM, and it was an affordable Mexican-made Martin with a new body shape design and a basic undersaddle pickup. And that's why I never actually got one or really tried it, because I have very high tastes in pickups and acoustic guitars, but they are, very easy to play and everything else. So I was always saying I wish they would make one in Nazareth from Rosewood and Sitka, and they've done it. But they haven't done it in the standard series for $3,500. They've done it in the custom shop. They've gone from the super affordable, which has actually gone up a little bit over the years anyway since they released it, but let's say 13 or 1,000 to 2,000. The next one is 8,000, limited to about 300. So obviously I'm really interested in this guitar, and I'm planning on maybe going to the factory because it's so close to us and doing like playing it and trying out this pickup, because it is using a very cool pickup using Aura HD. But the thing is, I know that next year they're going to release the standard version, right? And it's going to be basically the same guitar without the inlays, made in the factory with the same pickup, and it's going to be probably $3,500. So I don't know. I love this thing because I love stage acoustics, but you want to talk about pricing. I mean, $8,000. It's all getting a bit crazy, isn't it? I mean, look, I'm a working musician here. I'm looking at this Noel Gallagher and this guitar here, this Martin, to go out and play in bars and clubs. And I don't think that's who the market is really aimed at with these guitars. So I wonder when we're going to see the actual, like I said, maybe there'll be an Epiphone Noel Gallagher, and maybe there'll be a standard one of these in January for 3,000 or 3,500. Maybe it's interesting, isn't it? Like I feel like this guitar was supposed to come out in January, And then the cheaper ones they announced in January were supposed to come out now, but they flipped it because the show was bigger now than the one in January, because it wasn't a show in January, right? So they flipped it around and released this now. But I'd love to know from people in the chat, would you even think about buying one of these guitars for $8,000, which is basically a stage Martin with a pickup and electronics built in? I'm going to guess you two would not be interested in this at all. Am I right? What do you think, Doc?
It's not going to happen. I really like my Eastman. My $600 Eastman acoustic is amazing. I love it. But for $8,000,
the problem is you're paying. The problem with this guitar. The problem with this guitar is you're paying for this. Look, you see that inlay?
Yeah.
That's with the Martins. You always pay for that. That adds on thousands to the cost, and I don't even want that. Like if I could have this guitar without that as a standard series, that would bring it down to say 4,000, and then okay, that's much more appealing to a lot of people. But 8,000, and even if you buy it as a collector, it's got a pickup in there which may not have spare parts for it in 10 years' time. So that kind of is a bit off-putting as well. But I am going to go and try it. I want to hear it.
Can I get the made in Korea version?
No, they made the original. They made the original version in their Mexican factory.
Mexican, okay.
But the pickup is very basic, and I played one, and it doesn't, it just doesn't give me that rich sound that I want from a Martin kind of sound. And now this may not either. When I play it, I might be completely unimpressed. I mean, it always comes down to the sound, doesn't it? If I played this thing and it just sounded, if this sounded like my Martin Authentic acoustically and my Cole Clark plugged in, then maybe I could say, right, let's sell everything and get this guitar. But sadly, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be a kind of guitar that some country star is going to buy and play at the Grand Ole Opry because they've got loads of spare cash lying around. And that's fine. That's fine too. So yeah, I'm excited for this because of what it represents, a new stage instrument, which I'm not seeing much of from acoustic companies with a new kind of pickup. That really excites me. But the fact they went straight to this high-end version, I'm, like I said, I'm still interested. But I mean, if I bought this in Noel Gallagher, I wouldn't be able to own any other gear. That's the problem. So, yeah.
They're striking while the iron is hot, just like all of these companies are.
Right.
I mean, the Jerry Cantrell was $8,000 from Gibson, and it sold out within not even a few days. The Chuck Berry's, the same things. The Noel Gallagher's, that's the same thing is going to happen with those. They see that the money is being spent, whether, outside things are happening, whatever, with people's finances. Some people right now, they're in buy mode. So these companies can't keep anything in stock. PRS is custom orders, forget it. That's like a 2-year wait at this point. So if you're Martin, I understand it. But it does leave you, if you're a normal person that doesn't have $8,000 to pay a stage acoustic guitar, that's outrageous to me. I get it. I get it, but I also understand your complaint, or not your complaint, your criticism that why didn't they do the $3,000 core model, so to speak, alongside with it, and then you have the super high-end one.
It's really interesting, this whole thing of like at the start of the year, we had the PRS SE Maya. A lot of companies were releasing cheaper gear. I think they thought, we need to get the maybe the year before that they planned like a recession or something, and they got the cheaper gear out. And now they're all dropping these really expensive guitars like the Noel Gallagher and this guitar and some other ones we saw at NAMM. So it's really interesting. And some companies release the expensive ones and then the cheaper ones. And some companies release the cheap ones and then the expensive ones. And so Martin have gone this sort of weird roundabout way of like, here's the real cheap affordable ones so everyone can get them in their hands and get them out there on the stages and people can see them being used, which is a good idea, I think. Yes. And then here's the super expensive one that I don't know who's going to buy it. But then I think the middle one will sell a lot to people like me, because if you play every night professionally, I think the one that's like $3,500 will appeal if it looks really nice and sounds really great plugged in. I think they will sell those ones. This one, I'm not sure about. It's an interesting way they've gone, but I definitely want to go and play it and try the pickup and hear the guitar in person, because that will give me an idea of what the standard model will sound like, won't it, when I do that. So, Real Team says it's odd to market an 8K gigging guitar, a very limited market. I agree, but there's only 300 of them worldwide. And he said it's limited edition, exactly. So collectors may buy it. But Jim, you're right. They're following that supply and demand thing. They're seeing stuff sell out, so they're just going for it, aren't they? They're like, okay,
why not?
Let's make the $20,000 guitars. Let's put them out there. You know, I mean,
I have a spot on my wall right over here that guitar will look great just hanging there. I don't even want to play it. I just want to look at it and be like, yeah, that's an $8,000 guitar right there.
I'll do the green screen and just put it behind me on the wall.
Yeah,
exactly.
That'll work.
Yeah, and just have a cathedral behind you with just that guitar with the green screen. That would be pretty intense.
You know, for me, it's all about the sound at the end of the day. Like I said about the Ambex. If I strummed this thing and it blew my mind, plugged in and unplugged, I would happily sell all my acoustics and own this guitar if it blew my mind. But sadly, a lot of the time, this gear doesn't. You know, you see the launch videos, you read the press releases, you get so caught up. This is what happened to me over the years. I get so caught up in all that stuff, and I just have to have something, and I get it, and a few months later, I've sold it and lost money. So I try to remember these things now, and that's why I said I want to go to the factory when they've got this back in there, the first one, whatever they've made, and try it with a very open mind just to see and report back on the channel what I thought. But yeah. And I don't want to say I don't like saying gear is too expensive or whatever. You know, it is what it is. But for me, I just have to try this stuff and see if it actually resonates with me. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people are complaining everything is getting so much more expensive. Like the Les Paul Classics are $2,500 now. Those were $2,000, I think, 5 or 6 months ago. That's a big price increase, but
yeah.
I mean, value is it's different to each person, and what's expensive to one person. It all varies. There's a lot of stuff, but stuff definitely not getting cheaper anytime soon. That's for sure.
So that's everything I saw. Did you guys see anything or have anything to mention before we go that I missed?
No, but I did want to add one. Oh, sorry. You go.
No, you go
first,
ahead.
Doctor.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay. Well, I was only saying it because the Real Ting made a comment. I believe it was him earlier in the chat, and you switched the product really quick before I could say it. You were on the 2 notes thing, and he made the comment of a lot of the YouTubers are having these kind of things and they're appealing to them. I think the reason that doesn't appeal to you, Aaron, that $400 Revolt, is because I think it's made for people that do YouTube, that want to have I'm going to demo this guitar with the Fender sound, then the Vox sound, then the Marshall or whatever it is, and it goes all direct in. They don't care that it's not going through an amp, because I don't think it's intended for that purpose at all. And I just thought that was one thing that was kind of like lost maybe with how they were marketing it. I thought if they maybe took that approach a little bit more, that it might have had a little bit more glowing reviews from people like you and I, Aaron, so to speak. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I agree, but I think the problem with me is, like you said earlier, I have a couple of great tube amps and the aux box. I don't really need anything else. I also have a couple of amazing sounding stage acoustics and a couple of amazing sounding acoustics. So I think I've got the stage now where, I mean, the thing is, I could say I'm not into the gear at all, but I clearly am. I'm still looking. I'm still hungry for this stuff. I'm trying to be more smart with things. I'm trying to be more, like I said, if something really impresses me, I will find a way to get it, you know. But I don't want to do that thing anymore of like, I must have that, and then I just get it, and it just doesn't live up to the hype. Because there's even more hype now than ever, right? You know, you watch all these release videos and watch all the press. That's their job. Their job is to sell stuff. I get that too. But I'm very guilty of getting caught up in the moment and just having to have something. And it's so easy now. You can just send a text message to your Sweetwater engineer, and they'll have it in the mail to you in 2 days, right? It's very easy now to do these things, and you can get stuff on finance and all this stuff. But, you know, there's nothing worse than buying something and then losing a ton of money if you have to sell it. So I don't know. I'm really interested. I want to see more progress. And I think there's also stuff coming, because I heard a few like rumors and things of like stuff, again, that was meant to be released but wasn't released because they can't get the parts. There's loads of gear that's been redesigned. I don't know if people realize that. There was that pedal called the Tone Dexter for acoustic, that I've heard that the rumor right now is they're actually remaking the pedal because they can't get the components for the pedal at all. So a lot of companies right now are still struggling to actually redesign existing products example, if you buy a Helix now, I bet it's got different chips in there to what it had a year ago because they're having to change the parts and maybe rewrite some of the code for the new parts. So there's a ton of challenges with the new gear as well. But no, I'm lucky. I have a lot of stuff that I like. I have a rig that I like and I use, but I've still got the bug. I'm still looking for the new stuff, and I still want to see it get better. But like we said, the prices are going up and up and up, and the cost of trying these things now is not. It's not a game anymore. It's serious money. But like with that Martin, I think they will do. They're leading up to a standard series, aren't they? What they do is it's like Apple. Apple released the M1 MacBook Air. Then they released the M1 MacBook Pro. So if you bought the Air, you sold it and bought the Pro because it's better, right? Then they released the Studio. So some people would have sold their Pro and then bought the Studio because that's even more powerful. And today they announced the M2 Air, which is about as powerful as the M1 Pro. So some people will then sell that Pro and get the M2 Air. I'm being very cynical here, but it's a logical kind of like keep reselling stuff again, isn't it? Selling. And my M1 Mac is amazing. Like it does everything I throw at it so well, but it's all just a way to keep reselling stuff. And I think it's good to know that's what happens. And of course, there was a thing about Paul Reed Smith. He said, if you don't release a new product every year, then you die. That's what he says. So I get that.
He's not wrong.
Makes sense. And that's what happened with the doctor again. He froze because he didn't release a new product at NAMM. I'm being mean there.
Hey, he looks so angry.
All right, I'm going to wrap things up. Jim, you probably need to go. I'm going to stay on a bit longer because I want to answer the question that I had earlier on about acoustic amps. But thanks for joining me. Where can people find you online? Oh, Doc, you're back. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
That's all right.
Jim, we're just wrapping up. Jim, where can people find your YouTube channel?
Just type in Audiomo Music in your search bar on YouTube. You'll find me. I'm pretty easy going and, very accessible. And I hope to do more of these. Thanks for having me. I do have to run and get my toddler. So hope you all, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for everybody in the chat that participated. And take it easy.
Yep. Thank you, Jim. See you later. Take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right. And Doc, where can people find you on the interwebs?
I am at drmcfarlandstudios.com. as well as Dr. McFarland on Instagram, Facebook, Venmo, all that fun stuff. I'm not sure if I cut out for this question, but I did see an Earthboard EB2 effects pedal platform, which is a way to integrate power supply to like all your pedals, but it was through the board itself, which I thought was really cool. Because over the weekend, I just kind of searched for NAMM 2022 and
I think we all did.
I could.
We all did. Everyone that didn't make it was like looking up YouTube videos. And there's a few good ones. There's a few walkthroughs of the whole thing that you can watch online that are really cool.
Yeah, so that was a really cool product that really stuck out to me. But everything else was like, we got guitars, we got amps, we got same old stuff. I'm really into F-Note drums right now, so I'm looking at the new F-Note offerings they have for electronic drum kits. So hopefully here on my channel very soon, I'm working on a Roland VAD 506 series, going through all that stuff, and going to be coming out with more pedal series and gear series type related things. So definitely check out my channel here on YouTube for that. And of course, until next time, I'm Dr. McFarland, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks, Doc. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
See ya.
Later, man. Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to be on just a few more minutes just to go through the chat here. Okay. So, that's cool. Interesting. Like I said, the NAMM show for me is as much about the people and the connections, and that's just me doing my YouTube channel. Of course, if you're in the industry and you are releasing products, then you want to be there to network. And so many business deals and ideas must be discussed at the show and also at the bar as well. Like at the end of the show, people must go for a drink and then come to some business plan together. So it's really important to have the in-person events, I'm sure. So no, NAMM is not going anywhere anytime soon. I would say it was a successful show from what I've heard and what I've seen. yes, there weren't a million new products released. I mean, there never are. But the things that we just discussed today, I think were really cool, in my opinion. And I'm sure there'll be more stuff coming as well. I think we're going to see stuff releasing throughout the year. The companies don't really feel anymore they have to get everything out at once. So I think we'll see more releases throughout the year as well, which is really cool. So I was going to run through these comments before I wrap things up. Ninja says, I may or may not have been at NAMM. They wouldn't let me play the Hydra. Oh yeah, the Hydra guitar. We didn't cover that today. Yeah, that's very cool. And that's how I feel, Poo Ninja. Pretty content with my gear. I just want more because more is more. Yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of this gear thing is about, isn't it? Just the new thing, the new toy. I mean, I'm trying to do more videos lately on the gear I actually use, because sometimes I talk more about the gear that I want than the gear that I'm actually using at my shows. And I feel like it's very important. And I get a ton of messages from people saying like, how do you use the Play Acoustic at your gigs? And I see you use the MC8 on your live stream. How did you use it? So I think it's really important that I cover those things, because that's what I'm actually using, right? It's not just the latest Martin that I want to buy and I haven't even played it yet. I mean, you got to be very careful with that stuff, I feel. Oh, Laz, so did you go to the show? I didn't hear from you during the week, so I wasn't sure. Oh, you did? Okay, you got some video. Very cool. Did you play the SC then? The new SC custom shop? I'm definitely going to try to go and play that and also check out the pickup system in it. The John Mayer, is that the OMJM you played at the show? I'm not a huge fan of the OMJM, but and also I also saw the coverage online that they've got all that streaked ebony now. I still don't know how I feel about the streaked ebony. I feel like some of the guitars look awesome with streaked ebony, and some of the guitars, depending on the pattern, look a bit odd. That's why if I was buying an acoustic now, I really want to see the pictures of the guitar so I can choose the look that I want, if possible. I mean, obviously that's difficult because there's so few guitars around. David said the M2 Air looks excellent. Yeah, that M2 Air is amazing, and you can even put your iPhone on it as a webcam now. So with that M2 Air and your latest iPhone with the latest camera, you can have a really powerful streaming machine, because you can have that power of the M2, the thinness, the compact size, and then you can also have the iPhone with the latest camera. I'm sure the iPhones and the will be even better, and there'll be a really cool video machine. So that's really cool stuff. Yeah, I'm working my way up, Patsy, to Stephanie's question, if she's still here. Rafa says, have I used a Stump drum box? So it's interesting. I've used them throughout the year. Oh, David, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will get a copy with that tomorrow. I have used Stump boxes over the years, and I always kind of stop using them again. I've been using the Wild Dog lately. I used the Ortega before that, and I used the Roland before that. I like the Ortega a lot as a digital solution. I like the Wild Dog a lot as an analog solution. But I always kind of use them, and they really inspire me. And then a few months later, I kind of stop because I don't know, I just either don't want to set it up, or maybe the venue wants it to be quieter, and I feel like it's adding more volume at times. So I like owning one. Let's say that. I think they're really good, and I think if you're a solo performer, you should probably own one. But I'll do some more talking about that in another stream. I'm going to work my way up to Stephanie's question, then call it a day. If you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. I really would appreciate it. So, Real Ting still has an iPhone X. Hey, it's a bit like the music gear, isn't it? Right? An acoustic guitar with a basic pickup will always get you through every gig, right? I actually played my Yamaha silent guitar at a gig yesterday, and people loved it because it looks so unique, and it actually sounded really good. Once I tweaked the sound a bit on the mixer, it sounded really good. So there you go. You don't need the latest $8,000 Martin with the latest pickup. You can play a 12-year-old, 15-year-old silent guitar and be absolutely fine. In some ways better, because there's no feedback from that thing. But doesn't mean I don't want to play, and it doesn't mean I don't want to buy the Martin, and certainly doesn't mean I don't want to try it, right? I mean, if I didn't, I wouldn't be on this live stream right now, would I? So, Regret is worse if you finance a bit of gear it doesn't shine unless you return it. Yeah. I mean, we have very good return policies in the USA, which helps. I guess it could also make you maybe a little bit too eager to try everything because you know you can return it. And I don't think that's a good place to be in either, because you end up not committing to anything. Yeah, I know, I agree. Real thing. Also at the stage where I walk in and out of guitar shops without finding stuff that's actually better than what I have. No, I totally agree with that. Like if I go to Guitar Center, there's very few things in there that make me want to switch from what I already own. But the problem is we now have the internet and we can find that one thing that we don't own or may never own. I agree. For that price of that new guitar, 100 pieces, I mean, if there was 30 of them, I would be buying one right now. But when there's 300, it makes it a little bit harder to swallow. Yeah, but then again, there's 300 being made of those guitars, real thing. And the thing is, there's 300 rock stars that will probably buy them, right? And I bet they'll sound great. They've got the Aura HD pickup, and that thing does sound really good. Really good. Okay, I'm coming up to that question about acoustic amps. Stephanie Hughes, awesome. As an acoustic guitar amp novice and noob, so you're a beginner to acoustic amps, right? What do you guys suggest is a good amp to buy for an acoustic guitar, such as a Martin or a Taylor? This is great. I was actually thinking about this week, this question. Something happened to me this week. This might help you. So I've tried a lot of acoustic amps. To me, acoustic amps are just PA speakers. Usually not as powerful, but with built-in effects and mixers that PA speakers sometimes do not have. Okay, that's the first thing to be aware of. So I've owned a lot of low wattage acoustic amps that might sound great at low volume and be portable. And that might be what you want, Stephanie, so that's great. But as someone that gigs, I decided this week, I had a bit of an epiphany, if that's the word. So there's some venues now I play at that want me to use in-ears, and I really like the sound of in-ears. I wear these basically, and I love the sound of it, all right? I'm very happy with that solution. So there's a venue I've been playing on Fridays where I have to take a speaker. Bernard Smith, thank you, appreciate it. There's a venue I have to take a speaker to, all right? I've been taking the Bose S1 Pro. Now the Bose S1 Pro is kind of more of a PA speaker than an acoustic amp, but you could see it as an acoustic amp, right? It's really great because it's battery powered. It's got 2 channels. It's got the reverb on it, and it's very light. That's the most important thing. It's very light. So I've been taking that to my shows because I take public transport and I can't carry a 30-pound speaker. I guess the point I'm trying to make is I would rather play my acoustic guitar through a QSC K8.2 speaker over any of the acoustic amps, pretty much. And the reason is you get this fantastic quality speaker with huge headroom that will cover any room. So this might not apply to you if this is for like bedroom use, but once you start gigging or playing out, I find I want that headroom. And even at low volumes, I like the quality of the sound of the real PA speakers, like the QSC K8.2, right? Sounds fantastic. The reason I don't always take that is because it weighs about 30 pounds. It's quite big. It's hard to carry on public transport, and you really need a pedal to plug into it. So that's why I'm saying this is the solution I want to offer you, but it might not be applicable to you. I don't mind using a pedal for my reverb and EQ and effects with that speaker because I use one anyway. I use the what's it called? The TC Helicon Play acoustic pedal. All right. So I don't mind therefore using a pedal with one of those speakers. But the thing is, those speakers are quite heavy and big. So last week I decided while I was playing that I didn't like the sound of the Bose S1 anymore turned up. It's kind of soft and squishy and breaking up. So I bought the QSC CP8. And I was going to review this. I haven't reviewed this yet. I just got it a week ago because there was a sale on last week. I got the CP8. The CP8 is great because it's 1,000 watts, so it's half the power of the .2 one I mentioned, but it's still 1,000 watts, so it's basically 10 times the power of the acoustic amps that you see on the market. But not only does that mean it gets louder, the sound to me is much more solid and just better. So I like the tone of that. It's slightly smaller than the 8.2 and it's lighter. So that actually weighs about 21 pounds and is smaller, and I can still carry that to shows. You know, I wouldn't go any bigger than that, but my point I'm trying to make is I would much rather have the QSC CP8 and an external mixer like the Elite Acoustics mini mixer that I've reviewed on my channel, or my Play Acoustic, because I sing as well and it does vocal effects too. I'm so much happier with that than trying to get through a bar gig with something like the Eon Compact or the S1 Pro, because to me they just start to reach the top of their range and they just don't sound good or feel good to me either. So that's something I wanted to put out there. That could be a good way to go, especially if you're planning on doing some shows and singing as well, or plugging a keyboard or something in, or even the drum pedal that Rafa was talking about. I think you should consider getting something like the CP8 from QSC, an actual single PA speaker, which you can then add another one to in the future and have an actual PA system. The point I'm trying to make in a very long-winded way is that I feel the PA speakers are just much more powerful, sound better, versatile, and will last you much longer throughout your musical journey. So check out the QSC CP8 and something like the Elite Acoustics, either the Stomp Mix or the Touch Mix. So you have a very small but very flexible and powerful rig with that. If you do want to go the acoustic amp route and you don't agree with what I just said, check out on my channel the reviews of the NUX AC80. That thing sounds really good and it has a looper and lots of features built in that might be just what you want for less money than that speaker I just mentioned. Also, check out the Elite Acoustics acoustic amp. I thought that sounded really good, and that these are battery powered as well, which might be handy for you. And then there's a bunch of others. There's the Fender acoustic amps, are very, very well regarded, and the Fishman Loudbox amps, very well regarded. I think what I'm trying to put out there is most of the acoustic amps can sound very good. Check out the price and the features. But I just want to put it out there, not just for you, Stephanie, but for everyone that wants to do gigs and things. Maybe learn from what I find, don't learn from my mistakes, but I just found like I was using the smaller, low wattage amps for convenience, but I just never really liked how they sounded, especially at larger venues. They are very good for battery power. So I'm not going to sell my JBL Compact or my Bose S1 Pro, because if I have to go and busk or play in a park, I will need them. They're battery powered, they're self-contained, they have the reverb and the EQ. They're great products, but I see a lot of people using them professionally as PA systems. And for me, they do not replace the PA system. And if I'm planning on doing gigs and want one rig, I would always choose either the 8.2 if you've got a car, or the CP8 if you want to take public transport and just have that extra headroom and volume. So I was going to basically put that into a video at some point, but that's my answer. Okay, so let me just come down here, make sure I didn't miss anything. I missed something. Your message got flagged by YouTube. He said, the Martin CSS custom shop does look good and you like your bling. I like bling. I don't like that much bling. For $8,000, I'd like to have my name on it. Now, think what you want about that. Remember the John Mayer version they made for him had John Mayer written on it? I actually would like Aaron Short music on my acoustic guitar. Not for like arrogance or because, you know, I think I'm flashy or whatever. Simply because when I play a show, I want to promote my YouTube channel, and having my name on the guitar would be a step in that direction. That's, you know, and also a throwback to the old days. So, I mean, think about that, what you want. And he said, I don't think you would lose money on it, but I don't know. I'm trying to put that in a nice way. That's why you got flagged, because you put that word. I'm an amateur at the game. No, you know, you want me to be honest, I'm interested in that guitar. But if I buy that guitar, I'll have to sell my Maton, my Cole Clark, and my 2 other Stage Martins. I'm happy to do that if it sounds great. And I'm going to email Martin tomorrow to say, can I come down there and play that guitar and plug it in? And if it blows my mind, I'll tell you on the channel, and I will buy one probably. But I don't think it will blow my mind for that much money when I've already got these guitars that sound so good plugged in, like the Cole Clark, the Silent Guitar, the Acoustasonic. I don't need it, right? But hey, I feel the same way. And I think of all the companies, I'm not just saying this, Martin had the biggest release of the show. They released some great products. There were some other guitars too. They released their Signature. They released some ukuleles. They released a Sinker ukulele. Looks really nice. So we didn't cover everything today. We simply haven't got the time. Go on YouTube, type in NAMM 2022. There's several walkthroughs of the Martin booth, and there's several walkthroughs of the whole floor. And my buddy from Tone Wars was there. He did some interviews as well. There's a ton of videos from the show, and you can really get the feeling of what it was like there. So go and watch those. And if you do buy anything that was released or announced, let me know. Like I said, I'm really happy they did the show. I think it's important they did it and start getting things back on track again. I'm seeing a lot of concerts on now and things like that. Things seem to be getting back to some sort of normality, which is a great thing for the industry and working musicians, of course. But who knows? There was some great releases at the NAMM show, and I'm glad they did it. And I wish I'd gone, but like I said, the summer for me is when I get the private parties and things, and I just couldn't justify it because it's obviously work has to come first. Although if you go to something like the NAMM show, it's cool because you can network and build relationships. Even if you, as a YouTuber, you can make relationships for future videos and things. So I'll probably most likely go to the next one for sure. I was very sad this week when I saw my friends going that I wasn't there, because it's always a great time. Rafa said, I think Poo Ninja says Horse Kick is my favorite. So I reviewed that, the Ortega. I really like the Horse Kick. That's digital. But I also really like those Wild Dog pedals because they're analog and they sound really good for analog. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, I got a whole story about the Silent Guitar. I was going to put it into a video this week, so I won't say it today. Exactly, no feedback. Why are there not more acoustic guitars with no feedback like the Silent Guitar? They're really useful in certain situations. And they go there. I've actually got a whole story about the Silent Guitar that happened to me at my show yesterday. I'm going to put it into a video because I think it warrants a whole video about it. So I'll tell that story during the week. David says, Blues Lawyers will buy those 8K SEs. I don't know that they will. I think Blues Lawyers buy PRS. I don't know. I'm really interested to see who buys that Martin SC. I'm really interested to see. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I definitely want to try one. Brad, how you doing? Good to see you. Awesome. All right, we've been on for a while. I'd like to thank my guests today, Jim from Audiomo Music and Dr. McFarland. Their links are down below in the chat, so go and check those out if you like what they do. Well, you will like what they do because they talk about gear the same as I do. And here's a link to my Sweetwater affiliate that shows you all the things that were announced at NAMM because they did a lot of coverage as well. So feel free to click on that right now and check out all the stuff that was announced. If you see anything that I missed, feel free to let me know because I'm sure we didn't cover everything today. There's a lot of different products, obviously drums and saxophones and things and keyboards. There was a new, what do you call the electric pianos from years ago, the 70s? You know, Elton John played them and Stevie Wonder played them. Is it the Rhodes? The Rhodes, yeah. They've recreated the old Rhodes piano keyboards. That looked really cool. So there's loads of stuff I didn't cover today. I'm just to be transparent about it. And if you like what I do, if I helped you out today, feel free to buy me a coffee. Link is coming up next. Or buy your Soundhole Sniffer t-shirt from the link below in the description. No one mentioned my red Soundhole Sniffer shirt today, which makes me kind of sad. But there we go. I thought I would dress up for the NAMM talk. Thanks to Lee and Rosanna for moderating. I appreciate it. Lads has videos coming too as well. So go and check out his channel. And yeah, I'm sure there's stuff that I missed. But these are the things today that stuck out to me. And I guess we'll see in the future if any of you or myself buy these products. Hey, we'll find out soon, right? So take care. Have a great week. Subscribe, ring the bell. Remember, I'm here every Monday for Gear Chat and questions at 4 p.m. EST. and a recorded video throughout the week. I've got a few things you haven't seen still that I'll be making videos about when I have time. So stay tuned. Just subscribe, ring the bell, and to make sure your notifications are turned on, and then you'll be notified whenever I go live or post a video. All right. Thanks, T. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the post NAMM feeling, and I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Take care.
Meet me at the station at midnight. Wear your high heels, your red dress, and your smile. You look just like this other girl I knew. She was beautiful. And if you want to, maybe we can stay a little longer, stay a little longer. Yeah, we'll dance all night. Yeah, we'll dance all night. Like our hearts have never been broken, never been broken. So raise your glass to the lost and alone. They got no place to go. We can start another kind of love, one without consequence. And if you want to, maybe we can last a little longer, last a little longer. Yeah, we'll dance all night. Yeah, we'll dance all night. Like our hearts have never been broken, never been broken. Make it feel like the first time. Make it feel like the first time. Make it feel like the first time. Yeah, dance all night. Yeah, dance all night. Yeah, dance all night. Like our hearts have never been